And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000. So once again, that confirms that those 144,000 are the 144,000 of Revelation 14 that we just saw, that had the name of the Father and the Son on the foreheads, which is the seal that was just mentioned here in order to not get hurt during the trumpets. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel were sealed. Of the tribe of Yehudah, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Reuben, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Menashe, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Shimeon, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Levi, 12,000 were sealed, or Levi. Of the tribe of Yisachar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Joseph, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed. So 12,000 by 12, or we get 144,000. So that's why the number given also in Revelation 14, those are the chosen few. They are called the chosen few, for 144,000 in the middle of the millions that are in the world are very few. For many are called from those who claim to believe, yet from those who hear the calling are chosen. Yet sadly, as we see in scriptures, they will be few. For as it is written, when Yahushua said, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on this earth? And that was a rhetorical question, pretty much saying that he won't. That's why we also see that during his manifestation he will be alone. Even if he is heard by 144,000, as he will, and followed, meaning the 144,000 will follow that doctrine, which is to follow the Lamb wherever he goes. 144,000 in the middle of millions are pretty much amongst the amount of people that they claim there are in this world right now. The 144,000 pretty much are 0.02%. So it's less than it's less than it's amazing how it can be only decimals, and after the zero, after the dot. So 0.02 would be the chosen few. And that is very different than what we are told regarding the rapture, as they call it. Now, there is something that when we get to read in Revelation 14, I will have to explain it. I'm not sure if I should do it here, depending if you guys ask the questions on the chat, I will answer it, I will get into it. But since we will have to say it again in Revelation 14, I might wait until we get there. But in a few words, the 144,000 are not necessarily strictly 144,000, even though that number is given obviously for a reason. And what I mean is, when we see in scriptures, for instance, that the Messiah fed miraculously 5,000 people, it is estimated that there were actually around 25,000 people there. For they would only count heads of families. So there was a father, a mother, and at least 2 children, for they used to have a lot of children. And I mean at least 2 children in the sense that would be very few. Some would come with 1, some would come with 3, some would come with 4, some would bring the whole grandmother and everything. So they were only counting the heads of each of the families. So 5,000, they estimate around 25,000 people in reality. So since the scripture talks to us in that way, we can also use that way of speaking for this verse. For I repeat, when the scripture tells us, the same scripture tells us Yahushua fed 5,000 people. But since men are the head of the household, the female, the wife, is the body, and the children are the extremities, One family is one body. So that's why he fed 5,000, but they were around 25,000 actual people, actual bodies. So that could be also taken for this part, saying that they will be heads of households. They will be the heads who will bring their household with them. Now, and I will have to say this just a little. In Revelation 14, we see that these men are virgins. So a lot of people will say, to what I just said, that how can they come with wives and children if they are virgins? That makes no sense, and that would be a contradiction. As I will explain in Revelation 14 in a better way, deeper way, or longer explanation, Revelation 14 speaks in a spiritual sense completely. For if we take it in a literal sense, it contradicts all scripture, and it goes against the plan that Yahweh had to fulfill through the Messiah Yahushua, as I will explain in Revelation 14. So to interpret Revelation 14, and therefore the fact that they are all virgins, in a literal sense, as many do, makes us see a lot of issues with the whole scripture, for all the things that it says contradict scriptures and the plan of the Almighty. So that shows that the interpretation that they give is wrong, for it makes the scriptures wrong regarding other details that are said within that chapter that I'll mention later. But when it comes to the fact that they are virgins, scripture speaks of how congregations are as women, and those that have the spirit of error are whores. That's why the great whore of Babylon is the one that we must stay away from. The chosen few are virgins, for they accept the truth, the seed of the Almighty, the covenant with the Almighty, and follow the Lamb wherever he goes, without getting into false religions, without getting into false congregations, what they call churches. So since the chosen few do not go to false religions, they don't mix with women, which are congregations, for they are expecting the groom, which is the true Messiah, the Father Almighty as men. That will be the groom of the chosen few. They are waiting for him, so they remain separate, set apart from those false religions, which are women. I repeat. So the fact that once they receive Messiah to be born again, once they do that, they reject all falsehood. They don't mix with false religions, and therefore they remain virgins spiritually. So the 144,000 are people who are spiritually virgins. That's why they can be, in the physical sense, head of households, therefore come with an entire family, and therefore the 144,000 could go up to 1,000,000 perhaps. Still, 1,000,000 people are very, very few. Just want to make that clear, how it can be interpreted in a bigger number, but still that number wouldn't go up as much as a lot of people would hope or want or think, according to the rapture doctrine, which, I repeat, is wrong. It's taken from true verses of scriptures, but out of context to believe what they want. 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe. Each tribe, also the fact that each of the 12 tribes, the 144,000, they will be living stones through Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the living stone, cornerstone. They will be living stones in order to build the true temple of Yahweh, which is the body of Messiah. That's why the congregation is Messiah's body. Therefore, only he will believe, for all those who will be chosen are actually part of himself. And this is as if we were to separate the whole congregation in 12 parts, each of the tribes representing different important parts in the ministry, in the kingdom, in the rule of the whole creation that Yahweh will give us through Messiah for the next reality. And also, as we know, the names of the tribes are important. So the order in which the names of the tribes were given, if we translate the names and read the names of the tribes one after the other, saying the actual meaning of those names, we can get a message that Yahweh is telling us through this chapter. Not only that, if we look at the names, we can see a couple things that are interesting, which I explain more profoundly in the book Declaring the End from the Beginning, which you can read. At least this chapter you can read it already. I'm about to post the next chapter also. It's written already, but I haven't translated it, so it will be ready soon. But you can already read this chapter in our website, which is thewayofyahweh.org. You can go to the website through thewayofyahweh.org and look for the part that has the books. Well, I say books because that is future thinking, but I'm just starting with one and a article. So articles and books. There's a part of the site that has that. You will see it right there if you go to thewayofyahweh.org, and you can read the 7th chapter where I explain this that I'm about to say with a lot more detail and examples from scriptures to confirm it. But if you see these names, you will see a couple things. One, that Dan is not mentioned. The tribe of Dan is not mentioned. Back in the day, the Levites, since they were the priests, the tribe of Levi, since they were the priests, they did not receive a part of the land, for their portion was the Almighty. What the people brought for the Almighty was given to the Levites. That was their portion. So they did not have an actual piece of land in Israel. So it was separated amongst 12 tribes, for Levi was taken out of that sharing, or of that parting of the land. But now that we are about to enter reality and the chosen few are gathered, we see that the tribe of Dan is not mentioned. The Levites are mentioned, so they receive something special as the chosen few, but the people of Dan are not mentioned. And one of the reasons is for what we read in Genesis 49, when Yahweh through Yaakov speaks to Dan. He says, Dan shall judge his people. There are many who believe that from the tribe of Dan, some of those who now call themselves the Illuminati came out, meaning those who would be real Israelites who are within it, because according to a lot of writings, a lot of those who control or who are in control with the Illuminati are what they call Jewish. Yet, not all, most of them are not real Israelites. They call themselves Jewish because of other things, and pretty much because they use Jewish mysticism and witchcraft and stuff like that. But they are not Yahudim, they are not Israelites. But some believe that within the secret societies that control this world, there are some Israelites, and they claim that they would be from the tribe of Dan. Other than that, and well, the reason Dan shall judge his people is because that is the meaning of the name Dan, judge. So he was given judgment. So he started using it, and not in the best way. So that's why he's taken out of the list of tribes given as the chosen few in Revelation 7. For he used that judgment to do what's wrong, even to the point of influencing the world in order to kill the witness like Moshe, the two witnesses in the end times. So since somebody from Dan has to do with the killing of the two witnesses, the Almighty takes that name out of those who are chosen. Obviously, those who are of the tribe of Dan genetically can accept Yahushua as the Messiah, and through the Messiah become part, if they confess the name, of the chosen few, but through one of the other tribes, not as one of Dan. He would become of another tribe. He would be absorbed by one of the other tribes. And perhaps one of the ways is that since nowadays, because of the dispersion, most of the tribes actually got mixed with each other, then perhaps one of the ways in which the Almighty would do it is through the other tribe that is genetically in that person that accepted Messiah. Even, and I mean that, if the Father wanted to use any of our genes for whatever, meaning, since Scripture says that the kingdom of Yahweh is not about blood and about flesh and blood, then we should not expect the Almighty to take in account that which will disappear, that which will not be in the new world, meaning this type of flesh in which there is an inclination to do evil. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way. So he won't be in the way of Yahweh, he will be by the way. In a way, like Judas was. He was one of the disciples, but he wasn't really in the belief that the other disciples were, and that's why he got to the point of selling the Messiah and betraying Yahushua. So Dan shall be a serpent by the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels, so that its rider shall fall backwards. I have waited for your salvation, O Yahweh. So Yaakov saw something about the salvation of the Almighty coming to this earth, as I just mentioned from 1 Peter 1:5, that salvation will be for the end times. So interesting that it says, I have waited for your salvation. There are certain things that are said regarding this part, that Yaakov saw the Messiah in Shimshon or Samson, but then he saw that he wasn't the Messiah, so he said, I will continue to wait on your salvation. Yet the fact that here it is being said of Dan that he's a viper, a serpent by the way, and he bites the horse's heel, and makes its rider fall backwards. That's interesting, because we see that the second coming, the second manifestation of Yahweh on this earth as one of the two witnesses, will be on a white horse, the first seal of Revelation 6. As I already explained that in Revelation 6, you can watch that, and I say that is very important because in Christianity they claim that is the Antichrist, but that is a wrong interpretation for many reasons. So here we see that Dan will bite the horse's heels. What horse? The one in which the last is coming. And now the last won't come in a literal white horse, like Messiah already rode on a donkey into Jerusalem on the first manifestation. What one fulfills literally, the other fulfills spiritually. So what we see in scriptures regarding one coming on a white horse, that is a spiritual interpretation that we need to get from it. Dan will make sure that he is killed. He will take that which is pretty much taking the doctrine of the Almighty to the nations, will take it away from the world by killing the second manifestation. So it says he saw, a viper by the path that bites the horse's heel, so that its rider shall fall backward. I have waited for your salvation. So that connects the moment in which they killed the last, the beast from Dan kills the last, and it is through that sacrifice that salvation will manifest days later, as I have explained in other studies. So that is one of the reasons why Dan is not found as one of the tribes of the chosen few. The other tribe that we don't see, at least by name, it is Ephraim. For we do see Menashe. We don't see Ephraim by name, yet we see Joseph, which is interesting because the name Joseph was not used for a tribe. Normally, the tribe was called Ephraim and Menashe, the two tribes taking each the two portions given to Joseph as firstborn, for he was the firstborn through Rachel, the wife that Yaakov loved, and who gained that double portion when Reuben sinned. So Joseph had a double portion. That's why Menashe and Ephraim were two tribes. Yet here we don't see the name Ephraim because Ephraim represents the many. Most of the many will come from Ephraim. So the name Ephraim represents those who do not confess the name, those who are in rebellion, in the apostasy pretty much. They claim to believe, but they do not want to follow the true doctrine. As the problem that existed between those of the north and those of the south. The tribes of Israel, Ephraim, called by Yahweh through the prophets also, the tribes of Ephraim and the tribes of Yehudah. Ephraim against Yehudah. So Yehudah represents the chosen few. That's why there was only one tribe, and we could say 2.5 tribes as the tribes of the north, and 10 tribes as, I said it wrong, as the tribes of the south, and 10 tribes as the tribes of the north. So they were called Ephraim. Ephraim is a name that represents the many who are in rebellion. That's why that name is not mentioned as one of the chosen few. Instead, the name Joseph, because the second coming, the witness like Moshe, will come genetically from Joseph, just like Yahushua HaMashiach came genetically from David. So Yahushua came from David to fulfill Mashiach ben David, and the last comes from Joseph to fulfill Mashiach ben Yosef. And I say that as what the Jewish people are expecting. Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef. Yet they expect them first Mashiach ben Yosef and then Mashiach ben David. And we could say that Yahushua fulfilled a part of Mashiach ben Yosef. That's why he was the son of Yosef, the husband of Miriam. So Yahushua came genetically through David. So in the literal sense through David, but in the spiritual sense through Joseph. That's why Jewish people did not accept Messiah, for they did not understand what he came to fulfill. For he did not fulfill the whole thing. Why? Because he is just part of the whole manifestation of the Almighty as first and last, Yahushua being the first, Mashiach ben David in the flesh, Mashiach ben Yosef in the spirit. So the last will be Mashiach ben Yosef in the flesh, Mashiach ben David in the spirit. That's why Mashiach Yahushua said that he is not the son of David, but the root of David. When he asked the Pharisees, whose son is Mashiach? And they said David. But he said, how can Mashiach be the son of David if Mashiach is called sovereign by David himself in Psalm 110? So he's telling them that he existed and he was known already by David prophetically way back. That means Messiah was before David, and that's why David gave honor to Messiah, which to Jewish people, if they were to understand those verses of Psalm 10, which was what Mashiach was trying to explain to them, they would see it as blasphemy. The Pharisees did not understand his explanation, so they stopped asking him questions from that moment on. So that was the last thing that the Messiah explained to them, the fact that he was the root of David, unlike what they thought the Messiah had to be, the branch of David, because root and branch are first and last. They were expecting the last, but they received the first, so they killed him, for they did not see what they were expecting to see. He first came as a lamb, they killed him on Pesach. Now Christians are expecting the lamb, but he is coming as a lion, so they will kill him. They will kill him on Yom Kippur this time. Ephraim is not mentioned because the name Ephraim represents the many, the multitude that will be mentioned in the next verses. Now, when it comes to the meaning of the names, there are several ways in which we can see this, and I will try to go fast. I was going to go to the book and read it from there, for I explained it there, but I think I can just do it kind of quicker. So Yahudah means the praise of Yahweh, those who praise Yahweh. That's why we are Yahudim. We praise Yahweh. And the name of Yahweh, which is in Yahudim, is mentioned over us as we are the Yahudim. Reuben means see the sun. Ru is to see, and Ben is son. God means fortune. That's why in the $1 bill they have written, in God they trust. For God is fortune. That's why when it comes to this tribe, the mother of the tribe called him God, for she felt fortunate to have him as a son. Which in the positive sense, that's correct, that's fine. But in the negative, sadly, we see in Isaiah 65:11 that the people left Yahweh in order to worship God, which is what they are still doing. For people worship God, call unto God, and some even call Yahweh God, not understanding that they are different entities. Yahweh is the true Elohim, while God is a false mighty one, a fallen angel, another name for Satan, another name for Lucifer. That's why also Lucifer is in charge of luck in this world, of fortune. And that's why luck begins with the 3 first letters of Lucifer. So God in the negative is connected to the God of this world, as they call him, God, fortune. In the positive is the fortune that the mother felt when she had him. So we could see God as negative or positive. Asher means happy, for she was happy when she had him. But it is the first letters of Asherah, which is the false goddess, as they would call her, the Queen of Heaven, whom many Catholics worship as Mary. That is the one they worship, is not really the mother of the Messiah. They call her even the mother of God, for that is actually what they called the Queen of Heaven, what the scripture also calls evil wisdom. For wisdom spiritually appears as feminine, yet evil wisdom is what Asherah is, and what they would worship back in the day. So Israel would worship God and Asherah. So it's interesting that we have the names God and Asher within the tribes. And I say that because even though it means fortunate and happy, as I will explain it when I read all the names again, it can also be taken in a negative sense, as the God and the Queen of Heaven, as God and Mary, the ones they worship as idols nowadays. Then comes Naphtali, which means my fight, my strife. Then comes Menashe, which means he who causes to forget. Obviously, all names can be seen in a positive and negative, but I will just focus on the positive. Yet, the only negative that I will mention is the part that has to do with God and Asher, just because it is so clear when we see those names. Naphtali, my fight, my strife. Menashe, he who causes to forget. Shimeon means he who is hurt. Levi means crown, or something that is used to adorn something, like an adornment. And Adir also, to be connected to something else. Yisachar means there is recompense, there is a reward. Sebulun means exalted or exalted place. Yosef means he will add. And Benjamin means the son of my right hand. But also, because of how it is written, not the name but other words in the book of Daniel, Yamin or Yomin instead of Yomim, in Daniel we see Yomin as days. Therefore Benjamin is also explained, since it was the last son of Yaakov. The name was given not only as Benjamin, son of the right hand, but also Ben Yomin, which means son of days, meaning son of the last days, son of the end of days. For not only he represents the one that comes at the end as the last son of Yaakov, but also because Yaakov had him on while he was old. Now, if we take all the meanings of the names as a message, we see he who praises Yahweh, look, is the sun. I will mention first the positive. So, he who praises Yahweh, look, is the sun, who brings fortune and happiness through his fight, his strife, meaning his sacrifice and his ministry, fight, to cause to forget all evil, all sin, tears, pain. So he who praises Yahweh is the sun, who brings fortune and happiness after or through his strife, his fight, his ministry, his sacrifice, in order to cause to forget evil, sin, tears. Once he is heard, meaning his teaching, or for he is heard by the Almighty in order to receive what he asks for in prayer. For he is heard and adorns the congregation as a crown, adding two of the meanings of Levi. For Yahushua gives us kingship and priesthood. He makes us kings and priests, according to Revelation 6:1. So, for he is heard, and he is like a crown, who gives recompense, or who is like a crown, for there is a reward, meaning the kingship, in a high place, for he will add the son of his right hand. So it could be said that all of this will happen once Yahweh adds to the congregation Messiah, who is sitting at his right hand. Once the congregation and the Messiah are married through the wedding of the Lamb, then we will receive fortune, happiness, a high place, exalted place, the reward, the crown. We will forget all evil, all pain, all tears, and we will be able to see the sun and praise Yahweh. Another way of seeing, at least that ending part, since I mentioned Benjamin as son of days, it could be said, for he will add the son of days, for he will add the last, the one that comes at the end of time, to bring the whole fulfillment. So it starts with he who praises Yahweh, Yahushua, is the son. So when Yahushua came, he came to show who is the son of Yahweh and how we must act as children of Yahweh. And that's why we praise Yahweh through his name, which is sacrifice of our lips. Sacrifice of praise, the fruit of our lips that confesses his name. Hebrews 13:15. So he who praises Yahweh, look, is the son, through whom we receive fortune and happiness, through his sacrifice, his strife, as he causes to forget the Almighty the sins he has against us. Well, the sins that we committed for which the accuser is against us, the enemy. For he is heard and gives the crown and the reward from the high place, when he will add the son of the end times. So the reward will be given once the last appears and manifests and all of that I have mentioned. Now, the last way I'm going to say it, and I repeat, since this is a different way of receiving interpretation from the scripture, meaning translating the names and then reading them, there are several ways in which the Almighty speaks through those names. If a name can be translated in different ways, we should see all of those ways. And for instance, like I was saying, God and Asher as the God and the Queen of Heaven, the God of this world, and the evil wisdom that is used by evil people in order to control the world. So when we see it like that, we could then read, he who praises Yahweh, is the son, who with God and Asher has a fight or a strife, meaning that he comes to destroy the God of this world and the great whore of Babylon, as we see in Revelation 17 and 18. So he who praises Yahweh, look, is the son, who with God and Asherah has a fight, to cause the world to forget them, the names of the false Elohim, for instance, and the idols, of course. For he is heard, for he praises Yahweh in the name of Yahushua, right? And he is as the crown of the congregation. He is added to the congregation as the king, for he has the crown, and will bring the reward from the exalted place in order to add it to the children of the last days, in order to give it to those of the end, the chosen few. So right there I mentioned pretty much 3 ways in which this can be interpreted, the names, but I would say that we could continue for a lot longer connecting those meanings in different ways. Obviously they will all be connected, and they must be true according to what scripture prophesies that will happen, and everything that I have said is prophesied in other parts of scriptures.